Well, hello, everybody. Welcome to Breaking the Silence. You have a voice. I am your host, Lady V, and we are so excited about this show today and probably for the rest of this month because we're going to be talking about some single stuff. So if you got some singles in the house, share the page because we want to hear what singles have to say. So before I get started, I want to introduce my host. Well, let me tell you about our topic first. We're going to be talking about what is your status. Now, we kind of hit on it a couple of weeks ago. We were talking about, the importance of knowing what status you're in. But we also want to talk about not making assumptions because when you make assumptions, then, everybody is not really clear on what the status is. So that's what we're going to talk about today. But before we start, I want to introduce all of my panel. And let me start with my host. We have the wonderful, beautiful Dr. Yvonne Bennett. Hey, Mom, how you doing?
I'm doing well, thank you. Doing well.
Good.
In my garden today, picking out some collard greens and all that good stuff, and cooked them and took them down to your grandmother.
All right. I ain't never known you to be a gardener, so I'm really kind of
This
surprised.
is a new anointing.
Okay. I was gonna say we ain't never been no planting and gardening. We lived off of fake stuff, but okay, that's what your new hobby is. Yay, that's what's up. I can't wait to get some of them greens. And then we have Silvadia. How you doing, girl?
Hi, Miss Lady V. I'm doing good. Good to see you guys.
Good. It's good to see you. And we have Minister Isaac. What's going on, man?
What's up, V? What's up? How's everybody doing? Hello, everyone.
We doing good. Turn your mic up. We can't hear you.
Okay, let me bring the mic closer to me. Is that better?
That's
That
better.
is much
Okay,
better.
my
We
bad.
can hear
Hello,
you.
everyone. How
Not
is
to
everyone's
say.
doing?
Oh,
Doing
we're
good.
doing good. We're doing good. And we have Pastor Melanie. How you doing?
I am well, thank you. I pray everybody else is doing good.
Oh, everybody is doing great. And congratulations. Y'all just hit 10 years, right?
9 years.
All
Yes,
right.
thank
All right. Well,
you.
congratulations on your ninth church anniversary.
Thank
Congrats.
you.
And then
Thank
we have Reverend J. I ain't introducing you as no more guests. Reverend J, how you doing?
Hey, what's going on?
Not too much. How you doing? How's everything?
Everything's going well.
Man, that show was good last. I couldn't get on, but y'all were hilarious. I really appreciate y'all comments. Y'all was really, really hitting on some good points. It was a good show.
Thank you.
Reverend,
We missed you.
real quick about your show. What's the name of it? What time it airs?
Well, our show is called Let's Talk About It with Reverend Jay and Joy, and Joy's mother sister. It airs pretty much practically every Friday, sometimes, depending on if we have something to talk about. Just us getting together, just talking about it, having fun. So if you ever see us on Facebook Live, come join in.
All right. All right. And now introducing his beautiful sister and friend, Joy. How you doing, girl?
I'm good. I'm good. How are you?
Good. Looking beautiful as ever.
Thank you. Same
I
to
think, who
you.
did you say she looked like?
She looks like Mercedes from P Valley, but in a good way, because
In a
Mercedes.
good way. Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely. Yes.
Mercedes.
So we have a topic that I think that we kind of hit on a couple of weeks ago. So we were talking about, and I'm hoping that Dr. Myron will be back. I'm not sure if he was having some technical issues, but we'll introduce him back on. But we were talking about status. So, I think that, and I haven't been married that long, so I think I could still kind of have a couple of things to say on this topic. But knowing your status, in relationship, because a lot of times I think that singles can go off of assumptions. When you meet a guy or you meet a girl, or a lady, we jump right into does I'm a girlfriend if we go on a couple of dates, or I'm a boyfriend if we go here, or here we go, we're going to keep it adulty. If you sleep together, you think that the status changes. So we want to talk about it today. We want to talk about, first of all, knowing your status, what status are you in, and then not making assumptions, because a lot of times I think that you have a lot of folks that's out here, they're assuming that they're in a wife status, but they really in a hanging out status, or they may be in a dating status, or they may be in engagement, or whatever the case may be. So let's talk about it today. So why the assumptions? Why do people assume that because they go out a couple of times or even a month or so, that now we have gone into boyfriend girlfriend status without both parties agreeing to it?
Well, people get into that because there is not a good understanding. Well, it's understanding on the man part and the woman's part. Instead of, when you get to that point, what are we doing? Where is it that you want this relationship to go? What is your definition? Here it is. What is your definition of a relationship, or when do you feel like the relationship goes beyond just hanging out to we are dating? And because a lot of times, because people assume one way, and the other person doesn't assume the same exact way. And I think that's where the mixed signals are.
So when should it be where I guess we talk about the status changing, or how long do you go out with a person before you think that the status should change? Like if you start going out and you've been going out for maybe a couple of weeks or a couple of months, what is the time frame that a status changes? And if it doesn't, then is it worth having the conversation, or what are the expectations of that status?
It all depends on the people, because some people can already know what they want and what they're looking for, because in the beginning of the relationship, it a lot of times it does not take a man a long time to know if he wants to marry a woman or not. So it all depends on and what they are looking for, where it, because a relationship, it can move fast or it can move slow. So that's where I think the two need to get together to be on one accord and discuss what it is. Well, how do you feel about relationship? What do you think? When do you say you're serious about a person? And like I said, it's a lack of communication.
Yeah, I think intentions has everything to do with it.
It does.
Your intentions,
Hmm.
your motive, and a lot of times people assume because it's a pattern. They're desperate, and it's a pattern, and you can't base trying to build a relationship on an assumption. You have to know the intentions, and that should be talked about from the beginning. Lady V asked about how long. I don't think everybody is the same. Like Pastor
Exactly.
Mel said, it depends on the person. There are some people that know um, faster than others. They really do. But on the other hand, you have to take your time to see what this person is all about, and know inside of you what you're looking for. You have to know what you're looking for, because if you don't know what you're looking for and what your expectations are, you will end up going along with somebody else's expectations, and it won't work like that.
I think, for one, I think we need to throw away that list. Meaning the list. It really makes me cringe to hear like you have to go in this order when you meet
Right.
someone. For me, I think it goes on the vibe of you two, what you're attracted to, what you enjoy together. It's a variety of things, but all that holding back because of whatever else, like if it's your feelings, talk about it. If it's your religion, talk about it. If it's your family, talk about it. As adults in their 40s and 50 years old, quit playing games.
Yeah.
I mean, for me, what I like to say, I'm gonna date free. Free means if I fall in love faster than I used to when I was 20 years old, then that's what's going to happen, but I'm not going to hold back just because he might not be feeling the same. I'm going to be very honest. This is how I'm feeling, whether I like him or not. And if he either go with it or not, I'm not going to be mad at him if he's not feeling the same way. But at least he know, and I both know where we stand and where we're trying to go.
We want to welcome Dr. Myron to the show, everyone. Welcome, Dr. Myron. I think that the only problem with that is we find ourselves, I find that a lot of times one person becomes more emotionally attached to the other person. And then this is where it becomes imbalance, because I can't be, or someone can't be emotionally attached to someone without the other person being emotionally attached to them.
Oh, you can if you manipulate it. If someone manipulates you, you can get very emotionally attached to them. But for me, I think it's all about communication. Number one, you cannot be playing games with people, men or women. You have to be very direct on what you want. If you there's so many pastors on this show. If you want to be, if you want intercourse, then
pastors are people too.
You want to speak your mind.
If you want sex, then let's say that. But give me the opportunity to say if I want to go that route. But if you have to communicate with that person. If for me, I would love for a man to say, "Hey, I don't like short, curvy women. I don't want a woman who's a full-time student in nursing and working part-time. I need somebody who's making $100,000 a year right now instead of me waiting on her to make $100,000 a year." Whatever the case may be, communication is the key. But give me that opportunity to say whether or not I want to join that ride with you.
Well, I think that, okay, let's go back to status though. So when you first start, because I think that status is a part of it, because when people first meet, and I'll use myself for an example. When I dated, I dated guys who went all the way to, you are a potential wife, and we only went out to eat a couple of times. So us eating dinner together does not make you a potential husband and me a potential wife. It just doesn't. When we just hanging out is what we're doing. So it's established. I'm just hanging out with you, you just hanging out with me. Now, I have a choice whether or not I go out with you one time, two times, or whatever, until I make my. Now, if you come to me and you say to me, well, I think you're the one. I think you're a great girl. I think, you may be a potential wife. I can't be a potential wife if I'm still still in the hanging out status. Because still hanging out means that I'm gonna see other people, I'm gonna do what I want to do, and I don't want you to trip because I'm doing it. Until the status changes, then now we can talk about going from A to Z. But until both people agree that the status changes, it is what it is. We're still right here on this status right here.
Yes, Yvonne, I definitely agree with you on that. Sometimes I think that our life experiences, sometimes we withhold based on our life experiences sometimes, and whether that's come from the hurt of relationship or whatever it has come from, and in a previous relationship, sometimes that we withhold. And then sometimes we do it and not even truly realizing that. But then I agree. Sometimes one party may move faster than the other. I've been there where that I moves faster than the other person, and then I've been on the other side where she has moved faster than I have. And I can definitely say that the expectations are that they need to be set, and that's where I will agree with Silvadia on there, where that communication is the key. And then and then you have to know where you stand. That I say that we're friends, then we're dating, hopefully from dating, it leads to a courtship, and courtship should lead into marriage. But while you in that dating phase, just be, just be happy that just be satisfied right there while you are in the dating phase, and if that's the phase that you're in. And granted, I can agree with Silvadia on this too. Sometimes phases go faster than the other phase, but then that's based on the actual couple. And I think that we have to remember that two separate worlds are coming together.
That's right.
And I think that that's what we have to remember, is that those two worlds are completely different. We may be the same in some aspect, but those two worlds are completely different. And I really think that we have to understand the other person's world just like that we want them to understand ours.
Okay, then when that point, if I'm listening to the way y'all describing dating, then for me, dating is not having sex. It's
Correct.
it's
Right.
getting to know that
That's
person to
correct.
see if we can go to the next stage. Now, of course, yes, at 45 years old, I've had sex. I enjoy sex, but at this point in my life, I am more into uh, getting to know the person longevity. And I give you an example. I'm looking for someone who, if I get ill in my 60s or 70s, he gonna wipe my butt for me. That's important. I give you an example. I got a friend girl that work at a hospital in Texas. We were talking the other night. She has been taking care of two African American men who had strokes, very successful. But however, they have did their thing throughout life. Here they are. One is 50, one is 51, one is 56. They have no one at their bedside after the
Mm,
stroke.
Mhm.
They have nothing but a large bank account and a limp noodle. They have nobody after this stroke taking care of them except a couple of family members, she said, that come see them every now and then. But when they get discharged home, she said they're going to the nursing home for rehabilitation, and then they go back to their home for a nurse's aide to come in. But they are not married. They have no girlfriend. They don't, basically, the two men that told her the story that they told, they have played women. And I think as men and women, when we at the age that everybody here on the panel is, we need to sit our butt down and understand what true dating is.
Well, here's the thing. When you say dating, and this is why we talk about status. Dating, go back to what dating is, whatever you both agree that it is.
mhm.
Now, some people say dating is dating without sex, but you have some people that date with sex.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Whatever the status is, if it's dating, is dating. It don't matter what, that's up to the two people. Now,
Right.
when it changes, and now we no longer like, I like what Derek said. He said, when I dated, I just wanted to date. Other things happened, but I just wanted to date. The first date wasn't the time to tell everything. The
That's
thing is, we got to stop assuming that dating means, does dating mean I'm your girl? Does
Right.
dating mean that I'm going to
Yeah.
stop seeing people? Does dating mean that now I just see you? Or what does that, and only the both people can determine what the dating is, what the level of dating is. But if dating is, because now Jennifer said, what is the definition of dating? Is it the same as courting? As
No.
long as you're in a single status, because I think this is where we get tripped up as ladies. I can't speak for the men, but for ladies, we get tripped up because we want a commitment, because we think that, and I'm just gonna keep it real, we think that because we give up the booty, we think that the status changes. The status don't change because you sleep with somebody. It's
Nope.
still the status of what it is. So even if you're in a hangout status, all you are is a booty call. And until that man changes the status and says, I want you as a girlfriend, I want you as a fiance, or I want you as a wife, all it is what it is. The status didn't change just because you slept with the person and you woke up the next morning and y'all had breakfast and all that goes along with it.
Okay, I
Exactly.
have the definition, Jennifer, for your question. Courtship is about getting to know each other and developing a deep relationship before getting married. whereas dating is mostly physical with no strings attached and no emotional intimacy. So that's the difference between courtship or courting and dating, which it does make sense. But a lot of times people have taken the definition of courtship and dating, and that's why it's really careful when you're dating or the courtship is not to have sex involved, because when you have sex involved, that takes on a totally different beast, because that's where emotions get attached, because it's soul ties, because you're attached to, number one, that person, and then other people that that person has slept with. But people don't realize that, because it is a soul tie.
Right.
When sex is involved in that intimacy, and when sex is involved, that's when things can get confusing. And that's where one person may be, oh, it's just sex, and the other one is like, well, no, it's more than sex to me. That's where in their mind things can change. And that's why it's important to have a clear-cut definition. What are we doing while we are dating? These are the rules, these are the guidelines, or this is what we're going to do. But a lot of times we take things for granted, and we expect certain things. One person may have a higher expectation than the other person may have.
And most women will throw that at you. I've given up my body. I've given you my body, and now it's as if you owe me something. But they need to live by this theory. If it's love, it'll wait. If it's lust, it won't wait.
I like that.
And I also
I
think
like
that
that.
with women, a lot of times, and I've seen men tell women, okay, no, we just friends. No, we just kicking it. We just, we just chill. Just go with the vibe. Just go with the flow. And women come back to their girlfriends like, girl, I'm going to put it on them. And once I put it on them, he ain't going to be able to handle it. And in their mind, for whatever reason, they think that because they have sex, their sex is so great and grandiose that it's going to change this brother's mind. And it's like, sis, if that was the case, you would have a man right now.
Right.
So obviously it's not that grandiose.
Right.
But some women look at that and try to use their sex to try to, bring the man in and try to see if they can get him closer to them.
I totally agree.
Oh, go ahead, Rip.
I think you should have great communication and make clear what your status is between each other, because each person may think, oh, we're having a good time, but no one is saying that I don't still want to date you. I still want to see other people. You should make that very clear. And just a good note for women. I shouldn't say this, but I will. Trying to help some women out. Women, sex to men. To women, sex is a big thing. To a man, it's another day. So again, so I want you to keep that in mind before you give that man your body. Don't think that because you give him your body, you're gonna get this great commitment from them. You won't. But again, you should definitely make it clear about what you expect when you date somebody, and when I guess you say court somebody. So, and make that distinction clear.
The old school saying, to a man's heart is through his stomach. That's a lie, because I can cook for days. I know how to make just about anything. And Pastor Mel Isaac can tell you, my food tastes very good. So that's a lie. And I'm not going to tell my business, but let's just say I'm blessed. Room. So those two things do not keep a man. So I can tell you that now, lady.
You just did.
So it definitely depends on that guy, if you his cup of tea.
Yeah.
And that's why I was saying earlier, when you're dating a person, a man knows if he wants to marry a woman or not. Within that, I'm going to say within that, 90 to maybe...
Depends on the man.
3 to 12
Depends
months.
on the man.
Exactly. It really does. It really does.
Depends on the man.
Exactly. So, he knows. However, that's where and like I said, that definition of dating and courting, that's why people automatically assume, and that's where it's wrong. And I'm gonna say this too. Dating today is not like dating was back in the 80s and the 90s.
Oh,
It's
definitely not.
not the same. It's totally different.
And
Whereas a lot of times people, that's what they're looking for. However, and there's nothing wrong with that. And one thing, like I teach my 21-year-old, a man will know, but who God has for you, he is for you.
let me. I definitely want to clarify that. That statement depends on the man. Sometimes we feel that way instantly.
Oh,
Sometimes we don't.
Hmm.
Sometimes it doesn't come until some other things line up.
Mm-hmm.
So that depends on, a man can be very intentful, very
yes.
focused, and that feeling and that knowing sometimes does not come right away. And he's very intentful in what he's doing. But it happens, it always happens differently for every single man.
Oh,
It
yeah.
happens completely different. But you know, I think that what we have to get to now, this is Isaac's opinion. What we have to get to is stop trying to force someone to move in a direction that you want
Yes.
them to move in. Sometimes I think that we both, men and women, both get caught up into trying to shift someone in a direction that we want them to go. And I think that that's where we all mess up at times. Granted, I understand that every woman wants a man to lead. Every woman wants a man to lead. And I do understand that when a man is a great leader, that the woman won't have a issue in following, no matter who that woman is, unless she's just completely rebellious. Um, but I do understand it. But I think that sometimes we get so caught up into trying to shift the person to move down
Mm-hmm.
a lane that we feel that they should be moving down, and that's unfair to the other person.
Well, I know for
I,
a fact that communication definitely has everything to do with everything. Um, and I think if people would just take their time and not be desperate and find out some things about the person, because in communicating, you'll find out some things about the person's track record.
oh
You'll
yeah.
find out some things, just how they do things. And it won't take a wise woman long enough. It won't take a wise woman too long to find out what your intentions are.
Hey, can I
Right?
can I
Because
speak?
that's what we're looking at. We're looking at what.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, go ahead.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. I just wanted to, just well, one thing I know my facial expressions. I can't play poker, but when I hear people speaking in absolutes, men do this. That's nonsensical. There's
Right.
no, it doesn't apply to everybody. They're individuals, and so we kind of misrepresent stuff to ourselves and others when we say all, every, when we use terms like men. Some men, you use an adjective with it. Some men, or some women, because it's not everybody, because there's just so much diversity in how people believe. Some people are not clear on who they are, and some people have done all the work to be clear on who they are.
Right.
Point number two, my adage is, I use this professionally with work, when people working for me, and I certainly use it in my personal life: be slow to hire and quick to fire.
Mm-hmm.
Okay?
Mm-hmm.
Slow to
That's good.
hire and quick to fire.
That's
But
good.
you only can do that when you're clear and like
Yes.
on the job. Okay, I know what your
Yes.
job description is. All right, I know what I want you to do. I know what I need in that context, and I'm gonna explain it to you. And I have certain set of expectations, and you got a probationary period, 90
Right.
days, depending on how you performing. The next, you're gonna get another 90 days before you come on board full. If you're not doing it, well, see you. That's good for me, and that's good for you. Same thing in relationships, but that only works when you're really clear on who you are.
That's right.
Baby, you was talking earlier about people manipulating. Well, the more you know yourself and you clear on your own values, the less capacity somebody has to play you,
That's right.
manipulate
That's
you. When you
That's
know
right.
yourself and you decide what the hell you're gonna deal with and what you're not. When you're clear
Not
on
to
that,
do. That's right.
the more that you have, you stand on your own 2 feet. There's parity in relationship. In religious terms, we talk about being equally yoked. So that's certainly spiritually, but you also have to be equally low yoked, and you're going to be in a relationship with somebody materially, because otherwise people are going to have leverage over you depending on where you are in that journey. Now people make a choice to be interdependent, so somebody might have more of this than that or other, but before you can get to that in a relationship, you got to have some real clarity, and there has to be partnership, for you to have really interdependence. But and I'm just not speaking to you specifically, but knowing who you are, when you know what your values are, what you're willing to compromise, and the manipulation goes both ways. As we talk about, men manipulate women for sex. In some cases, women manipulate men for sex. It go both ways, but it's and people need to be clear about all of their manipulation, their own manipulation, how they seek to manipulate, and not mask it in something, not trying to couch it in something, and engage in what we call sincere delusions. Psychologically, you engage in sincere delusions when you tell yourself some BS so much that you believe it.
Well, I think that too. I do want to say
deluded, and you start living that out, and you're not living out truth.
I think that a lot of times, and we talked about this on Reverend Jay's show, a lot of times women think that, or I should say men think that they're the only people with choices.
Right.
And women have to understand that they have choices as well. The relationship is not just one-sided. So when we say that somebody has manipulated or controlled or whatever the case may be, I have to turn it around, because when I was single, you weren't manipulating and controlling me, okay? Because I have the final say on whether or not I date you. I have the final say on whether or not I sleep with you. I have the final say on whether or not I go to dinner with you. I have the final say if I go to dinner with you again. Because if you ask me, I can say no. And I think that women don't realize that you are just as powerful in the relationship, if not more, because you have a right to say no. I'm not going for that. And I think that is the biggest thing. It's like, you can't play game on me if I don't let you. You can't manipulate me if I don't let you. You can't sleep with me if I don't let you. You can't maneuver around and all of the other stuff if I don't let you. So the bottom line is, I'm in control of what happens with me. And I think that we give a lot of power. And I'm just saying, as women as a whole, we got to stop giving all this power to just the men to decide what.
Well, I just say,
Hold on, but
I don't give up.
That's
where
change. I don't give up. I don't give up. But I will say, we ain't finna sit on this panel and like ain't nobody on here got manipulated before. Because nowadays, manipulation is a whole nother ball game, baby. They will go the whole 9 yards. When I tell you, they buying houses, they buying cars, they buying you right. You're absolutely right. Hold on. They doing whatever they can, and I'm speaking to someone that don't give it up. They doing whatever they can to get you to drop your guard, to get in your life. And then you find out that, wait a minute, dude, I was looking for someone that truly wanted commitment, who truly wanted the same things that you spoke of when we had this conversation. But now your raggedy ass, excuse me, pastors, you full of shit.
So, okay, hold on.
I have a problem.
But wait a minute. I totally agree. But here's the thing. This is where we gotta, as women, we gotta pull back. Okay. I said this on Reverend Jay's show. Now, we have been told for so long that when a woman dates, when she dates, now let's talk about date, because I can go out with somebody on Monday. If I'm in a single status, I can go out with somebody whenever I want. If a woman is in a single status, just like a man is in a single status, I can put you in as many rotations as I want. I do not have to make you the primary person. The only difference is when women get with a man, we get in, and I heard this really wise man say something to me the other day that was so profound. He said to me, Dr. Myron, that you cannot allow somebody to control your emotions.
Say
You're
yeah.
in control of that.
Exactly.
You are in control. Even if somewhere 2 months down the line, I see, you know what? Excuse me, it's my show. This nigga is trying to play me. You have the right to say, hold tight. No, I pull back because I see that you playing games. So I know it's gonna take 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 months to know that somebody is playing games.
Exactly.
And right now,
Fun, hold on.
say that hold tight. You don't mean me well. And my mom would tell you this because I'll drop you in a whole minute when I was dating.
Period.
But I'm not, Mom. They met many people. And she would call me and she'd be like, hi, so-and-so. He is not in the picture anymore. Because you ain't doing it. We're not, I'm in control of me. You're not in control of me. You're not in control of my emotions. You're not in control of anything. So I can't get wrapped up and tied up into your sweet talking and your game playing and all of that. I get to say if I go out with you again. I get to say whether or not I like you. You're not just going to sit. Women got to stop allowing, oh, well, I'm waiting for him to change the status. No, baby, I get to change my status. You don't get to change my status.
Exactly. Okay, Vaughn. So let's make this clear. Some men, and let's speak for the 3 men that's sitting right here. We fully understand that women have the actual choice of yes and no. We fully understand that. I think that first, and I said this on Rev J's show. Number one, women don't ever take in consideration the courage that it takes for a man to even speak up, just to even get to that point, because we are some of us are built to accept the rejection. Some of us are. Some men are not. They can't handle that. But women must understand that we build up enough courage to come and actually step to you, especially when we like you. That takes a lot of effort for us to actually do that because of the fact we are now willing ourselves to come to you, and it's a 50-50 chance that you're gonna say yes or
take a risk.
Or exactly. The actual risk is there. But I also want to remove this misnomer that women think that men want women to make a certain income. Bull. Now hold on. I don't ever expect a woman to make the income that I make. And I got example after example where I've dated women that make far less income than I make, and they feel that they're less than. Just because of the fact that I like doing something. I have a quality of life. That's my quality of life. It's not yours. I expect for you to do what you do at your level. I don't ever expect for you to do something at my level. Men, we naturally accept women that make less income than us. We naturally accept that. Now, granted, I have said this. I don't expect a woman to make the income that I make, but if she does, gravy. I understand this. I'd rather accept a woman making $30,000 that's a great financier, that's a great steward of her finances versus someone that's making income I'm making and she's spending it and she's spending everything.
Okay, but my question is, what does that have to do with? But we're talking about status. So what does that have? Because to me, here's the thing: what you make is what you make. You know, because a woman can make more money than a man. The bottom line is,
and we understand that.
It don't have nothing to do with financial status. It has to do with where are we with it? Because the question is, what is the status? Don't make assumptions. So when we're talking about status change, we're not talking about how much somebody made, because
it was brought up. So that's the reason why I discovered it.
Most women have their own. Most women, you got women that have their own house, their own car, and everything else. The bottom line is, we're talking about, when does the status change? What justifies people to assume that we are this when we are that? That is go ahead, John.
I want to agree. I have to agree with Silvadia when she said these days men are buying houses, they're buying cars, just to get the sex.
Women are doing that too. Women are doing that too.
Oh yeah. But the majority in our society, men are typically hunters, and a man will do it. A man will lie to you. A man would be married and lie to you. A man be married and buy a house. A man be married.
Come on, Rev. Come on, Rev.
Let's be honest. I know women do it too, but we must agree that in our society, it's majority of men that would do all this stuff just to get the. And a lot of you say, "Oh yeah, I'll wife you," and once they get it, and or push them to shove, they out. So if that's the case, if we know this, and this is 2022. Women, you should be on guard. You should be aware, and not be too easily susceptible to just either what somebody says. Because last time I heard, actions speaks way more louder than words. And again,
I want them to go together.
I know some women that I do that too.
Jose, I think Dr. Ben talking about said us about if you listen to somebody, you know what their intentions are. I agree.
Yeah, true that.
Pay attention to a person's history. Trust me. Pay attention to if they got 3 or 4 different baby mothers, you should look at that. because you just might be the next one.
Now, Rev, I disagree with that because I know some dudes that got several baby mamas and they totally outdo a guy with 1 child or no children when it comes to.
I don't know, but I'm saying though, look at a person. I agree. No, I agree. I said look at the history.
At the history.
When I look at history, I'm the history of
I'm not saying the history
relationships.
Yeah. I'm not saying their history is a determination of what they do today, but their history is their history. And if you go on a job, they're gonna ask you for your resume. And reality about it, they're gonna make a decision about what you've done in the past, because in your past it shows patterns. So again, like for the relationships, you gotta pay attention to that because they may have the same pattern of you that they have before. I'm not saying they don't. Jesus can change anybody and people can change. But let me tell you, pay attention to a person's history.
Dr. Myrie, go ahead, Dr. Myrie.
Oh, and I'd like to certainly affirm something that Reverend Jay was saying, that we like to say that recent relevant behavior is the best predictor of future behavior. Recent relevant behavior, and you can go back, but relevant behavior around that particular issue is the best predictor of future behavior. And that's, and you just can't get away from that. But for me, it all, it even goes back to a more fundamental question for the individual. What do you want in a relationship?
Bingo.
Yeah. What do you gotta define that for yourself, because then that's going to determine, who you want. So you might be in a place where you just, want some, right? So if you just want some, be clear. I just want some, right? And then so you're going to have a relationship where it's all about getting some. But if you want something else, then you got to be clear, and that's why you're going, that's why you're gonna, be in a relationship. One of the things, back to the point of relationship history, one of the things I do with couples in pre-marriage counseling is, we do relationship history. So we sit down and talk about past relationship and lay it out. I don't know if I mentioned this before, but couples that I work with, we got a syllabus. They got 3 or 4 books they got to read. They got 3 or 4 papers to write. Anybody been to school, you do that for 1 class, pursuing a degree. So if you don't want to do that much work, it takes a whole lot more to be married than it takes to get a certification or a degree. So I require that. We do, we do what's called a genogram. And it's so you look at your family tree, but not just who begat who, but then you go through it and look at all the relationships. Okay, what was a good relationship between these people who were part of your life? Where was there some substance abuse? All of those things, because they come to play. Where were they, problematic issues? Where were they good relationships on every side? Because you're a product of your family of origin, no matter what it was. And so without seeing and digging into that, and we're just talking about prior to going into marriage, but even when you're moving into a phase, say you might be, just kind of hanging out or whatever. But if you want to be serious about somebody, ultimately that you're in a committed relationship, whatever configuration is, you got to know. And that's my adage about being slow to hire and quick to fire. It takes time. Anybody can hide themselves. Somebody can hide themselves effectively for about 3 years. Listen to me. 3 to 4 years, and that's not necessarily even a extremely manipulative person. Just because when we go into relationships, especially we really like somebody and we're being relatively earnest, we want to put our big best foot forward. How long do you go before you let somebody you like see you pass gas and all those kind of things? And I just use that
A
as
long time.
right, but I use that as a euphemism, as a kind of a light example of hiding your true self and all the parts that are part of who you are as a human being. So if you really want a long-term significant relationship, which means somebody knows you through and through and accepts you for not just because you're good side, but accepts you and is able to deal with your bad side, then you got to let them see that relatively early, so then they can make a decision, and vice versa, because then you have to live with transparency if that's the trajectory you want to be on. If you're not trying to get to where you have a permanent long-term relationship, well, you can just show just a little bit so you can get what they want and they can get what they want. But you got to be clear from the outset about what you want, and then be truthful with the other person about what, and then they can make a decision. So when it comes to true partnership, you got to have factual, accurate, and timely information in any relationship, whether it's a business relationship, but particularly in a romantic relationship. Factual, accurate information. They got to tell you the truth. Accurate information. They got to be detailed, in transparency about who they are, and they got to let you know in time. So if you just want, sex, well, hey, you can find you a good sex partner, and that's all you do, and y'all can skip off and play and do whatever. But when you mismatch,
okay, fellas.
Okay, when you can tell if I get him this and then I can get that later, you're bullshitting yourself. You're a fool.
I want to say something about Minister. I had to talk about manipulation. I want to encourage you to let you know you don't have to manipulate nobody. Just work on your value and show your value. I have a business, and people call me up and they ask me, so how much do you charge to do this? And I give them a price. Some people say yes, do it. Some people say no, you cost too much. So again, now, don't get it wrong. I think I have the best business in the world. I think everybody should use it. But I learned not to get upset when people say no, because they don't see the value, nor that they feel like they don't want to spend the money on it. So same thing in relationships, that you need to know your value, work on your value, and show your value. And the right person that's willing to pay for it will. I've learned this, that people will change for things that they value. And when if you see when you're valuable, the right person will change for you.
Exactly.
Right. And this is another thing.
I think Joy had something she wanted to say.
Another thing that happened.
Go ahead, Pastor Mel.
Just go ahead.
Okay, because I did want to address Jennifer's comment also. But what happens in the relationship, because and we have been saying it from the beginning. Number one, you have to know what it is that you want in a relationship. What are we doing? You're dating me. What is it about me? Why do you want to date me? Okay, I want to get to know you better. Okay, that's cool. And so as the relationship goes on, but this is what I believe happens, is that, like I said, one person, and of course this does happen sometimes, one person feelings is stronger than the other person feelings. So there has been no discussion about change in the relationship. Then the next thing you know, you're hanging out all the time. Then the next thing you know, oh, well, I'm going to stay the night. Oh, you staying the night 1 night, 2 nights, 3 nights, and so people take that as, oh no, we're not just dating. There is no communication, because what happens in that relationship is that there is assumptions. And so one person is feeling, wait a minute, well, I thought that we were further along than what we are. Then why are you living here? Well, number one, did you all have that conversation with, okay, wait a minute, and when feelings are getting involved, okay, or I think I want to take this relationship a step further. But I think I believe that people are afraid of discussing their feelings, because number one, they have been hurt previously. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to put up a wall, I'm going to put up a barrier, because I don't want this person or that person to get too close, because I don't want to be hurt again. But this is where that lack of communication is, and that's what people need to do from the beginning. You need to have that conversation. What are the intentions? What are we doing? Are you wasting my time? Because life is valuable. My time is valuable. Here it is. You have to know your value, because
That's right.
you're
You
not
have to.
just be wasting my time.
Go ahead, Joy.
You're not
Joy
just
has
be
something
wasting
to
my time.
say.
I
Joy?
wanted to now. I know a lot of single women, and there's some single men as well. And I don't think men come out and tell women, "Hey, I just want to have sex."
They don't.
I don't think that's a
Most men don't.
conversation. Most men. Now, I don't know. I don't know if I don't know. I've never ran across a man who said, "Joy, I just want you to bust it down." I'm trying to
Me
feel like
either,
brother.
Joy.
You
Me
just ain't
either.
with the right brother yet.
Somebody cry first.
You might be in the
I
wrong
used to be
town.
there.
Me either, Joy.
And I don't mean to cut you off, Joy, but from my perspective,
Uh-huh.
the best way to get you what you want is to be direct and upfront. So
Yes.
Exactly.
again,
Yes.
Exactly.
so
Yes.
long time ago, I was when I was in undergrad, I had a sales job, right? A telephone sales job selling newspaper subscriptions, right? It was on the phone. It was a great job. I went there, and then the guy who was the top seller, right? And I went to talk to him because I get in my feelings, and you call somebody up, they're like, "No, I don't want a newspaper," and they just slam the phone in your face, and you get caught up, and that was kind of discouraging. But the guy was an older guy there who had the best sales record, right?
Mhm.
And I learned something from him that's just I've carried it with me for life. He's like, when I call people, and he's like, I like to, he had calculated that he got one sale for every like 43 no's. So for every time somebody said no, for every time he got a yes, he had to make 43 calls before he got a yes on the average. So he was glad when people told him no. Right. So that got him closer to yes. And my takeaway from that is, if I'm straight up with you about what I want, regardless of what it is from the get-go, I don't have to do a whole lot of manipulation. If I want somebody who I just want to have sex with, then I'm just going to ask for sex. If you don't want it, you'll say no. That's going to get me to somebody who is. You understand now?
Yeah.
Because it's about transparency and truthfulness.
I said this in the beginning. I said this in the beginning of the show. From the beginning of the show, I said this.
Jordan
When
finished her
you
statement.
start to, of course, the courtship is one area, and then you go on into the date. If it goes to the dating
I'm not
stage,
saying I do that.
your intentions,
lining up.
you have to speak up and communicate and say what your intentions are, because people can assume. They really can assume, and that's not good. That's where things go haywire. So I think communication, yes, because the lack of communication kills expectations.
I like what Reverend Jay was saying about his business. Reverend Jay was saying about his business. If somebody don't want to pay what he wants to pay, don't want to patronize him, he's like, okay, because he knows his value and his worth, right?
Right, but most people don't speak up. Most people don't speak up.
And he knows his value and his worth, and he don't take it personally when they say no, because they don't want his service. And he goes on, if he carries all that frustration and anger around, about being rejected. If he interprets it as being rejected, then he's gonna feel some kind of way. If somebody don't want you, it ain't necessarily nothing wrong with you.
That's right.
They just don't want you. Don't misinterpret it like that.
That's right. But there are people that have gone
and you
through.
wasting your time with somebody who don't want you.
That's right. But there are people
who
that have
might
gone
want
through the
you.
cycle. But there are people that have been hurt, and they've been hurt over and over and over again. And like Lady V said, you have to know, okay, when does the status change? People that you've been hurt over and over, you don't want to keep making the same mistake. If you keep making the same mistake over and over and over again, no, it's no longer a mistake. It's insanity.
But here's the thing, and this is what I'm going to say again. We only get hurt over and over and over again and I'm just going to say as women, because when I listen to the comments, it all goes back to what a man wants. Women have to understand, and some do. Some do. Some women just say, I just want sex. Some women just say,
that's true.
listen,
That's true.
this is all I want.
And then it changed.
And then what happens is because men are so used to a woman saying, okay, well, I want a relationship, I want this, it's uncommon because it has not been where, like, I think Pastor Melanie said years ago, but today time, women have choices. And here's the thing, women need to exercise their choices. They need to exercise their rights, because you have some women, all they want from a man is sex. They don't want to be with you like that.
I don't know what type of vagina they got. I don't want to
every woman that sleeps with a man.
Men have never denied that, though.
Sleeps with a man does not get emotionally tied to that man. You have some women
understand that.
Just like men. They can sleep with you. They can get out your bed.
We understand that.
Did y'all not watch Boomerang? And she can be on her way. It's the same way.
I think most men enjoy
that. We understand that.
And be like, oh, and leave you $200. Check.
But remember this. For every type of man there's a type of woman just like that too.
Right.
So and watch this. We understand it. Well, let me say some men understand that. Not all men understand that. But I want to hear what Joy has to say. Joy, can you say what you're saying, please?
Joy.
Thank you.
What I was saying is that most people, when they are with men and women, if men want a woman and he's like, look, I want to get her to the bedroom, he's not going to walk up to this woman and say, can I sleep with you? Can you get a little? Can I get a little? Most men aren't going to do that, because women, if a man was to walk up to me and say, Joy, can I get some? It depends on the day. Now, I'm not saying I'm going to do it, but I'm saying I might, there might be some words exchange. It might be a, brother, be blessed, go on about your way. That's not happening. But it just depends. And then there's women who look at men and say, look, I want to make sure he take care of me. I want to do this. And the woman's not going to come to you and be like, oh, you know what? You look so good. Don't you want to just take me home and take care of me? Most women are not going to tell you that. Mm-hmm. Most women are going to say they're going to do whatever they need to do, play the game and fall into place so that they can get there. So I know that dating now is more difficult because now you have all these dating apps where you could date 3, 4, 5 people in one day, and it's at the, it's all in your hand, and all you gotta do is click a button, and it's like, oh, okay, now I got more people to date. So I think with the status change, I think I would advise anybody, men and women, if you're looking for something serious, don't do all of the committed relationship duties and functions. Don't be going to people's houses. Don't be going to parties. Don't be making grand appearances. Don't be cooking. Don't be fixing nobody's car. Don't do none of that stuff that says, oh, we together. Because if you do the things that people do when they're together, people are going to assume.
That's right.
So are you saying that we should remove chivalry?
I disagree with that, and I'm gonna tell you why I disagree. Because it doesn't matter if it was Byron, Reb, or Isaac. I cook. I cook for my friends.
She does.
I cook for my family.
Yes, she does.
That does not matter. I love to keep a clean house. So if I'm in the home, if we're in separate homes and I'm at his house, I'm gonna clean up. It's not. It has nothing to do to try to impress him. That's just who I am.
That's who she is.
That's
OCD.
just who I am. Pastor loves my banana pudding. Now he loves the strawberry shortcake. If Pastor say, "Hey, sweet Silvadia, that banana pudding or whatever," guess what? I ain't trying to get Pastor John. That's just who I am. So what I do as an individual has nothing to do with me trying to get the guy.
I agree. I agree, Joy. Look for example, I think this is no saying.
You come to Jersey and come to my house.
This is no saying. Why buy the cow and get the milk for free?
Right.
And what happens is that if you are doing things that a wife would normally do, or if you're doing things that a husband normally do, what will make a person why do a person need to commit to something, say, marriage in a sense?
So you tell him, but
that's not what she's saying. That's not what she's saying.
I will limit what I do. Let me say limit, not don't do it because you love doing it, but you got to learn to limit it. Like for example, I have a business. I only do certain things for a certain amount of money.
True that.
If I did,
as an individual person outside of your business, though.
Look at this. I would love to do everything. When a person calls me, I would love to provide every service I have for them, but I can't because I had to limit it. So, which if they enjoy the service, they want more. It compels them to want to invest more if they like it. So again, that's true
to a certain extent. But now you have women who don't know how to cook, don't know how to clean. They tail smelling like green beans, and they getting wiped out.
That's your problem. That's your problem.
But it depends on the individual person.
Well, it goes back to expectations, though. If you're doing something and you're just doing it just for the sake of doing it, that's fine. But if you perform a certain,
we can't see your face. We just see the beard.
Expectation of getting something else, then that's a problem. If that is not clear in the beginning.
That's right.
So you just want to come down to Houston and clean up and cook. And and go to school. I'm just messing with you.
You just can't see but your beard.
That's fine, but it,
But
look at this. Look at this.
In all honesty, okay, wait a minute. So I agree that there are certain things that we do naturally, but I'm gonna say when I dated, I had my own set of standards because one, I did not want to have someone mistaken me as being a wife versus a girlfriend versus a hangout partner. I wanted you to know who I was. So when we went out, we had a rule. You go to we meet, I drive my car, you drive yours. Because I have my own car and you have yours.
Right.
So when we met, I meet you there. I will meet you there. And I have money just in case you don't want to pay. And when we and then when we finish, I go to my house and you go to yours. Now, if I wanted to go out with you again, then the same situation happened. I go and I'll meet you there. The status, and I'm just going to say me, okay? The status only changed when now, because I didn't just off the rip, oh, come on over, Derek D. Hall, and I'm going to cook you a great meal, and I'm going to do this, and no, I didn't do that. No, as the status changed, as things change, then this is where now I can perform more duties. But I'm
give an example.
What I want to do, because again, I think that sometimes as women, we perform too many duties as a wife, and we only a hangout partner or a girlfriend.
Let me give an example.
So why is it okay for a man? Why is it okay for a man to spend his money if it's not okay for you to cook a meal?
I'm going to say that
thank you, Silvadia. Valid point, Silvadia.
So it's no different than, and I'll use the workforce. If you hire me as an employee, I get a resume, okay? I give you my resume, and you hire me as a
Derek said you stood him up.
Me as a worker. I'm only going to perform the duties in which I was hired to perform.
Now, so what if that guy go out?
Hold on.
Why is it
I'm
okay
not going to
for a
perform
man
as a supervisor? So if you ask me, can I close? Can I count up all the money? Can I check all the books? No, because that's not what I get paid to do.
This is why I disagree
my
with that.
Status changes as my pay changes, then I perform more duties. So
no.
Okay,
can I say something? Can I say something?
Spend their money on women buying them lavish things. Why is it okay for a man to buy a woman whatever he desires? He thinks she needs or want, but it's not okay if a woman cook him a meal or wash his clothes.
It's not. If a man spends money,
I think that women do. This is all I'm saying, and I'm gonna go back to me. I don't need you to do any of those things for me. When I was dating Derek, I had my own job and I was taking care of my own self. Now, here's the thing. You can do whatever you want to do for me, and I agree with you. I can cook, and I can invite you over for an occasional dinner. But what I'm saying is, I think that sometimes as women, we go I'm just saying, we go over and beyond. Go back to what Joy said, and hoping that if I do this, because you have some women, they'll start cooking, they'll start cleaning. I'm not cleaning your house; it's your house.
No. Okay, hold on. I think that I think that we got Silvada's example incorrect. I agree with her in this. This is where I agree. I am a man that I show chivalry to any woman. I don't care who you are. I have chivalry, and that's who I am. It does not mean I'm trying to take you out. It doesn't mean I'm trying to hook up with you. It doesn't mean none of that. I am just doing exactly what my dad taught me. Son, show a woman respect. When a woman is in your presence, you open the door for her. You do this for her. You know, that's just what my dad taught me, right?
Let me give an example.
Hold on. But in Silvada's case, hers is that I may not have the finances to take you out, which is fine. But what I can do is that I can cook you a meal only because of the fact that I just like cooking. It's for her cooking is a muse for her. It's something that she enjoyed doing.
There's nothing wrong with that.
I'm saying
but some guys, right? But Reverend Minister Isaac, some guys will date you, and I have had guys say to me, "What? When you gonna cook me dinner?" I'm not cooking you nothing. No, I don't have to cook you dinner.
Let me example.
It's not an expectation. If you're not my man, I shouldn't have to cook you dinner. I choose to cook you dinner, and I choose when I choose to go in the kitchen and cook you dinner. It is not an expectation, and everybody ain't like you, so you got to bring it on back. Everybody is not like you.
Let me say that. Take an example.
What I expect women to do certain things for them because they're women. They feel, and women fall into the trap. Oh, I'm gonna cook him dinner, and I'm gonna do this, and I'm gonna do that, and then
because nowadays, just like Silvada said, women are not cooking, and they get more benefits than women that are cooking.
Let me give an example.
There are some women that could, just like it's assumed that all women are not in it just for whatever they're in it for. What I'm saying is, it is not. We're talking about overall. We're saying that when there is a status. So if we go back to the status, if you say to me and I say to you, I am just hanging out. What's the status? We just hanging out. We just hanging out. What does hanging out mean? That means that I can pay for my own food and you can pay for yours.
There is no commitment there. Exactly.
I don't expect you to pay and you don't expect me to pay.
Exactly.
Now, when we date,
but how many women in
rules today? That's not on dating.
When there's a dating, we're dating. Okay, now what does dating mean? The status.
I don't know.
So hanging out means a woman got to pay her own.
I may occasionally cook you dinner, and you may occasionally take me out to dinner. Now the status.
I may occasionally cook for you too.
Now I am engaged to you. Engagement means that now we are going to.
That's where your courtship is.
That's where the courtship comes in. That means that now I need to start to deeply get to know you a little bit more, and you get to know me a little bit more, or a whole lot more. Then when I become a wife, now in the courtship, we have now gone and we have learned what we need to learn about each other before we get married. That's all I'm saying. The show is on. What is the status? Because you have people that are operating in the hangout status as a wife. Yes, I am not obligated to do for you as a wife if we are just hanging out. That is it. It's just the show is on status. It's not.
I think we need to go to college to date because it's just too much.
You got to know the status that you're in because too many people are getting in their feelings about. Well, he led me on and he did this and he did that. No,
I totally agree with you because I told a guy before that I said I fell in love with you.
We did.
That man, I like to say the N word. That man told me, I didn't tell you to do that. I like to say, what?
Exactly.
Hey, if that was the old Silvada, I'd have cut him.
Exactly.
But no, look at this. There's a video out there about the woman who got mad at the guy who was bringing McDonald's for his kid only. And here's the background story. They were in a relationship. And I guess during a relationship, this woman had 3 other kids. So while they were in a relationship, he was taking care, I guess, all the kids. He was bringing food for all the kids. But when they got out of the relationship, he's bringing food for only his child.
His son.
So again, that's why again, I believe that again, I'm giving advice to women that you should not be treating a man like you're his wife when you're only a girlfriend. Because guess what? Not all men, most men is not going to do the same thing.
Okay,
When
so what are you supposed to be doing?
look,
If you're dating, what are you supposed to be doing? I need to know these things because I need to
live
go
your
to college or something.
when you're dating, you should live your life for you. You should again, if you should be a team, you should
live
when
your
you're
life
dating,
for you.
you should live your life for you. Work on you. Make sure you can take care of yourself. Again, and again, if you want to be a nice somebody, cook them a dinner every now and then. But don't be cooking.
Don't be cooking now.
But don't be cooking every day like your wife. I'm look at this. My wife, when my wife and I was dating, I didn't do really nothing for her. She wasn't my wife.
What?
What you say, Josh?
When my wife and I was dating,
Get him, Joy. Get him.
she already knows. When my wife and I was dating, I ain't do nothing. She's my wife. She's my girlfriend.
How do you show
You
the
did
person
stuff,
that
Josh.
you
Don't be out here capping.
Look at this. She had her life. I had my life. Look at this.
Exactly.
But when we got married,
Man, y'all need to stop that.
look at this. When we got married, I look at when we got married. I'm the first one to wake up. I'm the last one to go to bed. I will work day and night to make sure that we have everything that we need.
Yes,
Look at
you
this.
did.
Yes,
Your wife
yes,
said
yes.
yes, she did.
He
Yes.
did. He did. Don't let.
What?
Yeah, your wife said
When
yes,
y'all
she
were
did.
dating, and you were
No,
dating with a contingent on her being your
when we
wife.
Oh,
dating,
Lord.
it's different. I take care of my wife. I take care of my wife. I provide for her. I didn't do that when we were dating. There's a difference.
And she said you cook sometimes.
When you dating.
Sometimes.
That is on the
Oh, Lord.
top 5 of my
Okay.
list for dating. I
believe-
But the point is this. Like, again, I did not treat my wife like a wife when we were boyfriend and girlfriend.
Okay, nobody.
And she didn't treat me like a husband.
What are you supposed to do while you're dating? In order for that man or that woman to say, "I want to take this to the next level," if you're not showing your skills of sex, cooking, cleaning, intimacy, what are you doing?
I never said don't show
wait a
them your
minute.
skills.
So before anybody answers that, I think
Nothing
that there is okay. So I want to go back to something that Derek said, because a lot of times dating can mean different things. So it depends on if you're exclusively dating, because if we're just dating and this is the thing, if you don't say to me, I don't want you to see other people, and I don't want to see other people,
Right.
then that means that it's still open game. I don't care what we're doing. I don't care who cooking for you, who changing car tires or whatever. Until you both agree that we are not going to see other people, and now we are going, because we went through all of the stages. We hung out. So hung out mean he hanging out, I'm hanging out. You seeing people, I'm seeing people. Okay, that's hanging out. That means that you in the rotation. Okay, that's what that means.
Wait
a minute. So now when we went from hanging out to dating. Dating meant, okay, we're dating, but are we dating? We're not dating anybody else. So we both agreed to that. That means that now you go on Facebook and you change your status. That means that you say to the world that we are
no man.
Okay, because
Wait a minute, you
Facebook
said
will help you. Wait. Facebook will help you, because when we decided that we were going to be exclusive partners in this relationship, we changed the status.
You said once you were in the relationship stage, right?
Wait a minute. Now, when we decided we're going to be engaged, hey, you want to marry? Will you marry me? Yes. Put a ring. Yes. Because you're not engaged until you get a ring. So when you get a ring, that means that now we engaged. So that means that now, bam, we're going to go back on Facebook. And now we're going to let everybody know, all of your 5,000 followers, 3,000 followers. And now I'm just using this as an example. Mm-hmm. So now we are now married. that means that we are in a full-fledged relationship. That means that pictures change, and that means that I show your picture. Because if you show your picture, you need to show my picture. That's the bottom line. You put your picture on Facebook, you best put my picture on Facebook. You're not just putting your picture and not putting mine, and I'm a wife. So now that means that now everybody know that I'm your wife, not just your whatever. Now we putting pictures on there, and people see that we done change all the way from A to Z. That's how it works, people. We got to stop playing the game. We are grown folks. And if you are not willing to man up, woman up, and show that this, whatever the status is, then we're not playing this game no more, because I'm not going to be told that, oh, well, you my wife, but I'm still got a single status. Where they do that at?
Well, I'm not that aggressive when it comes to that, but what I will say this right here, whether we're dating or it's too many layers to this. Well, whatever the case may be, if you're seeing me,
full-time job.
Yes.
I shouldn't be.
I love you, baby.
Point blank. Period. To me,
V just laid out a whole book
to me,
on what not to do.
To me, I think I am a great enough person.
You learn.
I should never be a secret. That I should never be a secret. If you can't respect me enough
Right.
to say,
That's right.
Right.
if you can't respect me enough to say, hey, yes, I am seeing Silvadia, or yes, I have someone special in my life, and they ask who it is, and if you don't say my name, I have a problem with that. Or whatever the case may be. If the way these platforms are today, if someone asked, well, I'm not dating, but if someone did, I would say, yes, I have someone special in my life. I have a king, however you want to say it. But when you deny me, whether we're dating, married, or whatever the case may be, that's a huge deal breaker for me, because that tells me that you are not ready for the same thing that I am ready for.
That is not necessarily true. So let me say this.
What?
Look, I gotta play the other way. So don't y'all look at me just like that. I'm just saying that's not necessarily true. Period. No, he was chewing, so he went off camera. He was chewing.
Yeah, I need to get my popcorn. Wait a minute.
But no, that's not necessarily true. Okay, again, we could go back to some men can date very intently and not even get the feel that I'm ready to marry you. And they can be very intently dating you. And
what
they don't
have
that
to do with
feeling.
claiming somebody, has it?
And they want to get the feel. They want to get the feel.
Oh no!
Look at this.
But hold on. But let me say this: it goes down to you and him, and neither person should be forcing the other person or pushing the other person to go in a direction that they are not prepared to go in yet. I agree with Yvonne when she said, let's go with the flow. Let's just take our time and actually walk this thing through. And where Jennifer said, that if both of you are serious and you're moving at the same pace, is that going too fast? That's dependent upon the couple.
Exactly.
We can't determine that.
Exactly.
So I'm going to go back to the relationship status is based on the couple, and one person can't push the other person too fast. You can't, and I agree. That's where communication come in. And I will be the first to admit that recently I failed at that. I had a total communication breakdown, which caused a whole bunch of headache that shouldn't have been there. But I was the cause of that communication breakdown, is that I had this fabulous young lady in my life. She's still in my life, but just had this fabulous young lady as far as in a relationship, and I messed it up. Let's be honest with that. So, but I'm going to be honest, and I'm going to call myself out live in front of everybody, okay? But no, I had the communication breakdown, and it wasn't because I didn't want to communicate. I was somewhere in a position in my life that I didn't understand what I was in. And when I realized where I was, it's something that I still can't explain. Why? Because I don't have an answer for it yet, but I cannot explain why I was there. But I am seeking to find out while I'm there. And I think that we have to be, that sometimes we have to be sensitive where a person is in their life. He is so funny. But I think that you have to be sensitive to where a person is in their life at certain times, because you can be on the right track and then something happened, that could make a person shift. It doesn't mean that they're shifting away from you. It's just the fact that they're just dealing with something. And it goes back to having proper communication, and that is where I completely failed at.
Look at this. I'm saying one more thing.
Question. I want to ask, and anybody can answer. So, what is the time frame that one should expect for the status to change? What is the actual, like, is it 6 months? Is it a year?
There is no certain time.
Is it okay?
That's where you trying to go.
I think if you're in your 20s, I always tell women, if you're in your 20s, you can take all the time you want. Just go with the flow. Do whatever.
Yep.
As when I hit
that time,
I said, you know what? No, we got a time limit on this. Now we cutting down to it.
See,
so
but look, now that you're forcing this man to be somewhere that he's not ready to be again.
Because but that's like I can say yes or no. Look, I'll give you 3 months. We ain't doing all this hanging out and I'm gonna be your buddy for 3 months. Brother, 3 months. If by 3 months, if I don't feel like this is a relationship, you're not going to take up my time, because guess what? I
right.
Man,
yes.
Somebody that's truly ready for what I'm ready for.
I'm not wasting my time with you because you want to be buddies. You better get a pen pal.
Exactly. And that's the thing. I want to go back to what Isaac was saying a while ago when he was saying, you said force several times. I feel like, to me, when a woman or a man communicate what they want and then they revisit that later on down the line as y'all continue to kick it, I think that's a valid point. But you feel like you're being forced. But I feel like you or whoever owe that person to say, hey, I know it's been 6 months. However, I'm still not where you want to be. Give that person the decision if they want to walk away from it.
That's
communication.
communication.
You to do something that you don't want to do. That's called communication.
Yes.
Look at this.
Yes.
Look at this.
I definitely agree with that.
Let me go back to my business again. I don't force customers to use my service, but I will tell them this. This is what I'm going to do for this amount of money. And this is what you do in a relationship.
You're going to do some strange for the change faster.
No. You need. Sometimes people don't want to grow. And as long as you let them linger, they will. Yeah. And sometimes you gotta challenge people to come up to where you are.
Yeah.
There's some people in this world that will just linger and not make a decision and ask you to wait a while.
That's right.
People already know me. They know that if I want to do something, either you're gonna be with me or you're not. So you got a choice to make, and I'm not gonna wait very long.
I don't think it takes forever. It does not take forever for you to find out whether you're really interested in me. I agree with Joy, whether it be 3 months or 4 months or whatever, but you cannot take up my time and just
if a man isn't
lingering on
dating you.
No. Because time is of the essence for the average person, and it should be.
I guarantee you,
Okay.
If a dude get his cup of tea, the tea that he truly enjoys,
he's gonna go for it.
I don't care if it's 2 months.
That's not always true.
I see this all the time. So one girl was doing everything for this guy. I mean, she was cooking for him. She'll go outside and warm his car in the wintertime. She washes clothes. I mean, she did everything. And then when this guy,
I told her, he ain't gonna marry you. What's gonna happen? He gonna find somebody, and with less than 6 months, she's like, no, that's not it. We've been looking at rings. Okay.
And literally, when we found that one, he was married less than 6 months.
Yeah.
I had a situation, a friend of some years ago, a friend of mine years and years ago, 30 years ago.
We're trying to see your face, man.
A buddy of mine, close friend of mine.
We're trying to see your face.
He was living with this girl, right? He was living with this girl. He had changed her whole,
We just see your beard. You got to back up some.
Move back some.
Okay, my bad. Sorry. So, she had moved from where she lived, halfway across the country, changed her career. She took, they had been dating for about a year and a half, long distance. She worked for the government. And so to move to where he was, she had to lose some seniority. She was all in. They were living together. They wanted to get married. We all went to school together, blah, blah, blah. She thought it was going to happen. And, he was a great guy, great catch, but she was ready to get married. He wasn't, right? He was really, and this is what you were talking about, Reverend J. He was ready to get. She was ready to get married. So finally, she just like boom, she got unhappy. So she moved out. Right. He came home from work one day. Everything was gone. Right. And he boo-hooed, sang. He came down here, hung out with me in Texas for about a week just to get himself together. A year and a half later, he got married.
I'm telling you.
She was hot. And then because I was friends with her, I talked to her and I was like, hey, just because he got married then, that doesn't mean he was never gonna marry you.
Right. Period.
Let
Right.
me
So
say this.
Then
I
he
think
found
it really depends on the person too.
My point is,
and I know you.
Can I finish my point? Can I finish my point? Mm-hmm. So my point is that you got to decide for yourself, and if you leave, you can't worry about what you left.
Yeah. Right.
There you
That's
go.
true.
Don't look in the rearview mirror. Move forward, because your future, and then you want, and you got to trust that God is already in your tomorrows. Got something for you.
You better say
I know. And
you got to get to stepping to get there.
Just a quick last comment, and that's true, Dr. Myron, and I appreciate that. But it depends on the person. It really does, because my husband and I have known each other since I was 13. He was 15. He noticed me over the fence. He knew at that moment that I was going to be his wife. At 18 and 20, we got married. 58 years, here we are.
We got to stop being people pussy pillows. That means that you up there laying up with him and doing everything that freaky deaky, and next thing you know, he don't went up there to Missy Pie over there and married her, and she don't know anything.
I would say this. Some men know instantly. Some men know within a certain period of time.
Right.
But even when they find out or they are sure, except for Dr. Bennett and Mr. Bennett, because they were teenagers, But sometimes it does take a level of validating that this is the right person for you, because you don't want to make the mistake and say and be all in, and you haven't done your level of validation. Because remember, I can be all in with you, but then there can be some things that could devalue you based on what Dr. Myron said and what Rev J said.
This is what I'm saying.
You might need to hold on to your freaky dinky.
Look at this. This is what I'm saying. For a person that feel that they can't make a decision right now, you should go get some clarity, get some counsel. Because let me say something. The Bible says there's a season and time for everything under the heavens, even relationships. If relationships don't grow and move to the next point at a certain time, they just die.
Yeah.
And if you say, well, I'm gonna wait, but again, if you wait long enough, then you get ready. I heard something on radio where this man said, yeah, we're gonna get married. He kept pushing off, he said, what's the rush? Eventually, he was ready to get married, and then the woman he's with didn't want to marry him.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That is a possibility too. Yeah. That by the time you're ready, the other person don't want to marry you no more. So when you're sitting here wasting your time trying to figure out if it's going to work out or not, let me tell you something about relationships. There's no guarantee.
Right.
You can wait 5 years, 10 years, 20 years to get into it, and it can still not work out. All you must do is get some good counsel. The Bible says, in the multitude of counsel, there's safety, and give it that person, and y'all go hard at it, and prayerfully it lasts for a lifetime. But again, there's no guarantees in relationships. You just work at it and keep on going, and prayerfully that the person say, yeah, I do too. You're with for the rest of your life.
But going back to something Reverend Jay said, I knew I had a girl years and years ago. Her and this guy went together forever. I mean, it was forever. She was doing all that. They started living together, and she was, I mean, they went through some of the stages, but they ended up living together, and she was doing all the wifely duties and so forth and so on. And she came to me and she asked me, she said, why do you think he won't marry me? I said to her, I'm going to give you just this little bit of advice. Close up shop. Close it up. And she did. Within 2 months, they got married.
Because she cut back on the freaky dinky.
Yes, within 2 months. He shut the shop down. No more sex. That's it. and they got married at a beautiful wedding, and they stayed married until the day she passed away.
Mm.
Well, I admit, don't get me wrong, I love sex. I truly do.
Ain't
However,
cooking, ain't cleaning.
You're in good. Yep, you're in good company.
however,
Ain't cooking, ain't cleaning.
however, the
That's
reason
the trifecta. I play those numbers.
however, the reason why I don't allow sex in the dating phase is due to I want to know, do we have chemistry outside of the bedroom?
Mhm.
There you go.
That's
There you
why,
go.
because if you
Yes.
we can screw all night to the you can tie me up, rope me, whatever, beat me. But however, if
said
that's
beat?
the only thing, if that's the only thing
Savannah,
that
stop
we
telling
have,
all your secrets. Stop telling your secrets.
no, I'm using that as an example. But if that's the only place
Just
that
kidding, y'all. Just
we
kidding.
are
Just
joyful at,
Right.
then
No good.
come on. That's why I don't
Right.
want sex.
Well,
That's-
there's a
that's-
saying.
yeah.
There's a
That's
saying
very
that says,
profound, Savannah. That's very, very
yes,
profound.
there's a saying
Yes.
that says that women are more sober-minded before sex. Men become more sober-minded after sex.
sex.
Yes.
Yeah.
So as women, because men, like Josh said earlier, men could go and they could just do their business and
Have
it's
sex
like,
and go back to work.
where's the women?
I know
And
some
even,
women that's
even the
just
women
like
that I
that.
know that was, that do their thing, they could go and do all of that. Even with those women, I've noticed that even if the right man or the man that they really want, they have sex with, they become emotionally attached to those men.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So I always
Myron.
Get off the show. Dr. Myron, get off the show right now. Bye. Bye. Get off the show. Myron, get off the show.
go get that stuff from that fast.
Myron,
Jesus.
oh Lord, he's stupid. Hey, Myron. Hey, Myron, I got a whole dungeon
So
myself.
that's
Be
a
quiet.
marriage Kelvin product.
I got a whole
Is that
dungeon
what
myself,
yours
Myron.
is?
What's that?
Okay. That's the roach. Be quiet, y'all. Be quiet. If you're not into that, be quiet. You'll know what it is. Now you'll know what it is. Be
Y'all
quiet.
know what that
be
is.
quiet. Anyway,
That's too
I
much
know
for-
what
I'm
it
too
is.
dark. That's too much close to slavery for me.
Oh Lord. Okay, y'all. Hey, y'all. Look.
Too much
Hey,
information.
V, I think it's time to close the show. I think it's time, V. We didn't
Final
have some
words,
final thoughts. We didn't have some final thoughts.
Let's get some final thoughts. So Dr. Myron, what's your final? That's right. And
Put
Janet
the tools out.
Don't play with me. Don't play with me.
What's your final?
I'm too old to be played with.
Oh Lord.
Dr. Myron,
Hey.
what's your final words?
Final word is be truthful with yourself and be truthful with other folks. Just be transparent with yourself. Take a good long look at yourself. Know yourself.
Yeah.
Know what you value. Know what you're willing to compromise on. But when you come to your core values in yourself and believe in yourself and love yourself, cherish yourself, value yourself, and that's the only, because when you do that and you set your standard for yourself, then anybody who's going to be close to you is going to have to fall in line or they're going to fall off.
That's good.
That's good. Reverend J.
Don't discount yourself. Amazon, Apple, they don't give discounts. You pay for what they offer. What they offer it to you, and you pay what they offer. So don't discount yourself.
Where they hide?
Joy.
When someone tells you what it is, believe them
The first time.
and understand that you can't change them. Understand that whatever they said, that's what it is. That's truly how they feel. And you need to take whatever steps, whether you want to say, okay, this is what I'm going to go with it. Or if you want to say, look, that's not what I want to sign up for. But just understand when they tell you what they want, exactly what it is they want, believe them and know that you can't change them.
That's right.
Dr. Bennett.
I would say definitely know your value, know who you are, know what you require, know your expectations, but make sure that your expectations are real.
Mm.
You have to make sure your expectations are real so that
Attainable
you
expectations.
will not be disappointed.
Mhm.
And make sure that you go in to a relationship with the right intentions yourself. Don't be expecting good intentions from a person and you go in with a wrong motive. So know who you are, but know who you really, really are, because there are some people that still wearing a mask. They don't
That's
know
right.
who they are, and the mask has nothing to do with COVID.
That,
Well,
Savannah,
Yes, sir.
Savannah,
I
final
would say,
word.
yes, I would say if you're over the age of 40, sit your old ass down somewhere. And quit. That's all.
Honestly.
Somebody want that old ring through penis.
What?
Okay, that's all. I love you guys. Hey, see, that's why. Hey, that's why my future. I'm too always saying boyfriend. My future partner, husband, he has to have a sense of humor. He has to know
oh my God.
when I say things like this, I am the biggest joker whatsoever. Do you hear me? But I have a heart of gold, and I am a Christian. I just want
Yeah,
to
we love it. We
Sounds
love
get
it.
rough around the edges. If you get
you're in
what
good
I'm
company.
Minister, we love you, Savannah. We don't talk
Yep.
offline. Meet me at the after party. Minister Isaac, yo,
Listen,
He
man, what's your
impressed.
listen.
final word?
I don't know if I can. Hey, I don't even know if I can follow that. You hear me? But look at this. I guess that my computer don't want me to follow this. Okay, moving on. I'm gonna be getting daggone alerts and everything. Okay, listen here. Wow, Savannah, look. I get to deal with that every single day. Okay, so let me just say this.
Can I have some popcorn, Dr. Myron?
Right?
Yes.
Next
Let
time
me
I come,
say this.
next time I'm on the show, I'm gonna pass popcorn all around.
Oh man.
Popcorn. Go ahead,
Listen
Minister
here.
Isaac. You got your final words. You only got a minute.
God. Okay, look. She got me laughing. Enjoy the relationship that you in. And make sure that the communication is solid. If you have solid communication, you won't make the mistake that I made. And that is just simple, communicate exactly where you are. If you're in a place that you can't understand, communicate that. Because that's all that the person want to hear. They want to hear your voice saying exactly where you are. And I think that is the greatest benefit. That's the greatest benefit you can have to in a relationship is proper communication. So don't do like I do, and I horribly failed at that. So, and I just hope that the woman that's listening and watching this show can understand
He wants you
exactly
back.
where I'm
He
coming
said,
from.
"Can you please get
Okay.
back?" He said he missed you so much.
So-
He was a fool. He didn't mean to mess up as much as he did.
So,
He just wants you
it's
back.
just-
He gonna be better. He promised you. He promised you. That's what he wants to say to you.
Oh, thank you, Brandy.
Hey, look, Brandy Ingram Brown. Look, I deal with this every day. Trust me, every day. It's lit.
What?
Hey, Byron.
Hey,
Hey,
Brandy,
Myron.
and
Myron. Dr.
Yes, sir.
Dr. Myron, look, I got a whole closet myself. Got a whole closet.
Wait.
I got a whole closet.
Okay. So
I got a whole closet, bruh.
So I heard, I used to say your fantasy is not sometimes your reality. But someone corrected me and said that sometimes fantasy is not your actuality. So it is what it is. Don't read more into what it is than what it is. If it looks like a duck and it quacks like
It is
a
a
duck,
duck.
That's a duck.
it's a So, in saying all of that, y'all, this has been one great show. I am your host, Lady V, and we have Dr. Yvonne Bennett, we have Minister Isaac, we have Silvadia, we have Dr. Myron, and we have Joy. And we have been on this show now well over the time. But we've been talking about status and know your status and don't make assumptions. This has been a great show. I appreciate all of our guests with all the comments and all of the illustrations that were made and the popcorn and everything. This has been so explicit. This has been a very explicit. I might have to rate this pass rated PG. Go back and put this show is rated R today.
We might need to do a show on BND and S&M.
This show
Hey,
consists
get out
of-
my closet, Myron.
This show consists
Get out my closet, Myron.
of foul words and some of everything, but it's okay. So we air every Tuesday at 6:00 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And until we meet again, we always want you to know that you have a voice. Good night, everyone. We have y'all. Y'all can just go out and meet me behind stage. All right.
Okay, we're gonna stay right here. You just hit return to dashboard. Oh no, you just stop
No, I'm
the live.
ending the broadcast. The broadcast
Yes,
has
stop the
right.
live.
I'm so
Stop
glad
the
we
live.
had this time together.
The
Yes,
broadcast
stop the
over?
live.